They say the sky's the limit, but it's just the beginning.
The Angel and May Chronicles.
Hello. Thank you for listening once again to our podcast, The Angel and May Chronicles, and this is the end of season 2. We really couldn't do any of this without your support. So from all the production crew and all the acting crew, we really send out a big thank you. And I'd also like to thank our patron supporters who basically help to carry the cost of maintaining our web presences. This season, we've had some amazing challenges, really. We spent a long time writing, and we'd just finished that process, and I'd prepared all the templates, and we were just about to start to record when the COVID-19 outbreak started to really kick off and go global, and there was a lot of fear around. And so I nearly decided to shelve this whole season because of it, due to the inability for us to actually meet. And up to that point, we'd been recording each episode with a sort of zoo format with multiple actors in the studio at the same time. And then they would move up to the microphone when it was their turn. But COVID kind of stopped us doing that. And so I thought, well, we wouldn't be able to do it. Anyway, we sort of kind of kicked it around. And then I thought, well, look, we could just decide to get each actor in one at a time and then record one-on-one, sterilise the microphone and the pop shields and all the various other pieces between each of these takes. And actually, in the end, this proved to be superior to the original method because actors weren't hanging around waiting to actually take their turn. And so they came in and they would just do all their parts, and it was really, it was fun. We could also run multiple sessions per week, so at one point I had different people coming in each day, and this meant that we actually were very efficient. We really got through the recording fairly quickly. The only downside was that we were all worried that the lack of interactivity might really show, but when we started listening to how it was turning out, we really couldn't tell. And I think this is because by the time we actually got into this, we'd already spent the whole of season 1 figuring out who the actual characters were going to be, and most of the actors knew how they were going to tackle the roles, and they didn't need another actor to sort of bounce off. And actually, rather amusingly, we had a number of sort of small part actors, some of which actually had fight scenes and had actually never met the person they were having this fight with. And you can't really tell. I don't think you can anyway. The other massive challenge we had was that the actress, Cecilia, who actually made a massive contribution to season 1, decided because of work commitments she could not continue to do Sharrow. And this was a huge blow, really, because you can't have a show with one of the 2 lead characters not being there. It was just basically not going to happen. Luckily, one of the other actors, Vivian, who plays Gander, kindly offered to substitute in at the last minute and basically saved the season for us. And I think she's done a great job, although it's difficult because you kind of get used to one person and the sound of their voice. So, I'm hoping that it won't be too much of a big issue for our listeners to try and adjust. We had to try and engineer why the voice would have changed. So I hope this was done okay. We've had some good things this season as well, in that we had our first multinational recording, in that one of my family who live in Canada and whom I've done some recording with, sound recording for music, was willing to actually play some of the roles. So it's kind of cool because he would record in Canada and then send me the files, and then I would incorporate them into the plays. He plays the characters Everywhen and Christopher. So, and there'll be more of those in season 3. So that's kind of cool, really, in that this is now an international collaboration, which is amazing, really. So other than the actual recordings, we rebuilt the website from the ground up with completely new graphics, a lot more content and a lot more aspects. We really got into the computer graphics side of things, and we've now got renderings of all the characters, and we used that to improve the whole of the graphical side of the series across the piece. We've got new images which accompany each of the episodes, which basically take a sort of snapshot of a scene within the episode. And it's meant we had lots of new images which we could make a really cool looking website. So that's another big change this season. And that is still continuing in that we're now getting into the video side of things, because that's obviously the way the world is. And we've got a YouTube channel with some video content. So that will grow, hopefully, over time. If you haven't seen it, check it out at angelandmay.com. So, yeah, we're constantly adding stuff all the time. There are a lot of other supporting documents which we have to help us make the series, which I'm hoping to get up on the site at some point. The other area which we've looked at, and we've really just started, is the merchandising side of things. I've stuck a couple of designs up, but they're okay. They're not terrible, but I think we can improve that. So we do plan to enhance the range of designs going forward. And there's a link on the website for merchandising which takes you off to a site called Redbubble. And this allows us to deliver merchandise anywhere in the world. And, the quality is quite good. It's not super cheap, but it's not super expensive either. I've kept the margins that we get down to 10%. So, we've obviously got to have some margin. Otherwise, what's the point of it? We've also done a lot of stuff behind the scenes in the audio side, really. We've improved, the delivery channels, so we're now registered with more places so you can actually listen to us on your preferred channel. We've also, using SoundCloud, put up very high quality versions of the episodes. We've included transcripts with every episode now, and the first 5 episodes have visual sound bites as well. We've introduced new front and back title music. We completely remastered season 1 episodes 1 to 6 with a less confusing timeline, and we're actually currently in the process of improving the narration to make it clearer. We find that a lot of people go and listen to the first episode and then don't go on and listen to others, so either that says we're absolutely crap and people really don't like it. And actually, as a result of that, we've kind of changed the way we do the actual recording. Like episodes about 1 to 7, I think, I had one type of way of doing it using Cubase, which made it actually a lot harder. I thought it was going to make it easier, but it didn't. And so I completely changed after that to a new methodology and created a really quite nice template, and then we've applied that. And so you won't hear very much difference at your end, but I've applied that back to the early episodes, so everything's in the same format now. And the sort of thing it has is much better Foley, footsteps are now included, people walking around, better sound effects, and I think it's just, we're getting into our stride in terms of the production side of things. So that's season 2. Now, I guess you guys, you just don't really appreciate, but it takes so much work just to write the stories. It gets harder and harder because all the easy stories start to be consumed. So then you start to scratch your head and think, well, what do we do now? We've obviously got this whole universe populated with loads of characters, and what we've got to do is try and think of inventive ways to explore that universe. So where are we? We've just spent about 2 months plotting out in quite detailed way all the story arcs that we want to explore this season, and they're all on little cards. We're working on that at the moment. So now we've just moved into the process of taking a particular story arc and then writing that out. And then hopefully we'll be doing that till probably just after Christmas. And then we will composite those story arcs into episodes, because we want to keep the episodes to around half an hour. It's a bit tricky because you can't just cut them where you like. You have to try and find a point at which you can create a hook to the next episode, and usually that's where you've got a scene change. So I suspect that recording will probably start around early April again. We're trying to focus on sort of quality rather than quantity. We're building on the characters you know and love, and we're trying to bring in a little bit more sort of emotion, I suppose, and realism, building more of the background. And there is a possibility, and I stress this, it's only a possibility, that we might have an adventure on Mars. So that could be quite interesting. So lots to look forward to there. Now, one thing that makes this very difficult is we sort of do all this stuff and we throw it over the wall, and then we don't really hear much back from you guys. And so we really don't know whether you hate it or what you hate or what you like. And so I would urge you to try and give us some feedback via the website. There is a page where you can actually just send a message, and it's we're not collecting addresses or anything like that. It's nothing nefarious. It just goes onto a secure drive, and then we read the messages and we can respond. So the fact that people are listening to our episodes and following through a season is a huge commitment on your part. So we appreciate that, and we will really try and do the best we can to make this as entertaining as possible. So thank you, and see you next season. you.